All right, so I have been watching a lot of Tom Campbell videos lately. And for those of you who don't know who Tom Campbell is, he is a very enlightened human being. He has been meditating for decades. He's done a lot of paranormal stuff. He's had dozens of out of body experiences. He's done remote viewing, astral projection. He communicates with people in other dimensions. He is just fascinating. And at this point in my life, the thing that is most important to me is I just want to be the most optimal human being that I can. I want to be the healthiest. I want to be the happiest. I want to be the most loving. I want to have the highest vibration. I just want to enjoy life. And Tom Campbell, he just strikes me as somebody who's very happy. He says that he is very jovial in his life. He's always laughing. He's always joking around. He's always smiling. He has such a kind of chill attitude towards life. He says that he cries a lot from just how beautiful life is. Just the awe of life just brings tears to his eyes, and I really want to embody that. I have gotten glimpses of the true beauty of life many times in my life through meditation. I've had moments where I just became so calm, so peaceful. My mind became so still, and I saw the true wonder of reality. Reality is so complex, yet so incredibly simple. It is just mind blowing. And yeah, so I just see Tom Campbell as somebody that I really want to be like. He just seems like a really happy guy. He seems very positive. He seems very fulfilled. And so, yeah, I've just been watching a lot of him, and he's been really challenging a lot of paradigms that I've had around the way that I look at life. He's been challenging a lot of my old belief systems about life and what reality is and what God is and what I am. And that's good. It's good to challenge your belief systems, because we can easily, as human beings, get caught up in these old looping belief systems that really don't serve us anymore. And we might have heard something a couple times in college or whatever, and oh yeah, that makes sense, okay, and we just kind of carry these ideas through life, these belief systems, but they don't really serve us anymore. They kind of actually hinder us. And I think it's good to look in the mirror every now and then and say, who am I? What do I believe? What is the truth? And that's kind of where I'm at right now. I had a lot of kind of paradigms around that we don't have free will, that life is kind of determined and we are just kind of going along with the motions, and we feel like we have choice but we really don't, and God has its favorites, and we're just kind of on this ride that we can't get off. And what Tom Campbell says is that no, we have free will. We have the ability to choose and make our own choices, because what God is this larger consciousness system that is trying to discover what it is. It is trying to bring itself back to a state of wholeness, to a state of order. And it does that through what he calls these individuated units of consciousness, which is what humans are, that are moving around in this virtual reality, and we have to make choices. We have to make hundreds, if not thousands, of choices every single day. What food are we going to eat? What clothes are we going to wear? Which way are we going to go to work? How are we going to brush our teeth? Are we going to respond to that person who texted us? There are so many choices we have to make, and sometimes it's hard to know what the right choice is. And as Tom Campbell says it, humans have two ways of thinking, two ways of processing their world, and that's through intellect and intuition. So what is intellect? Intellect is that part of our brain that basically uses information from our past experiences to create decisions in the now. So let's say you are about to leave for work and you are trying to decide how much time should I give myself to get to work today. And you know from past experiences, past days that you've gone to work, you know that it takes you roughly 20 minutes to get to work. However, you've also had situations where you've run into traffic, and traffic has added an extra 10 minutes into your commute. So you know, okay, so now I need to give myself at least 30 minutes. But there was also that one time that I was trying to get out the door and I couldn't find my car keys, and it took me a whole 5 minutes to find my car keys. So maybe I should give myself an extra 5 minutes this time. So now you do the math. All right, I need 35 minutes now to get out the door to go to work. So you're using information from past experiences to create this choice that you're making in the now. And you're using all this data that your brain is processing, and you are using that information to make a decision. That's intellect. Now, what is intuition? Intuition doesn't use past knowledge. Intuition doesn't use logic. Intuition is feeling. Intuition is this indescribable nudge from within that tells you, I really should do this, or I really shouldn't do that. You ever meet someone and you're not quite sure what it is about them, but you just get a bad feeling from them, like you shouldn't trust them? Or you ever get that feeling that something really bad is about to happen and something does happen? That is your intuition. That is that part of your brain, part of your being that can see and sense things that are considered by scientists to be paranormal. We cannot define what these things are, but that doesn't mean they're not valid. Paranormal simply means it cannot be understood by science. So when you have these little nudges and you get these little feelings, these senses, science doesn't know what those are, but there is some validity in them. And you hear all these stories of people, getting visions and knowing what was going to happen before it happened. People just got that feeling like, oh, my grandma's about to die. And then sure, lo and behold, a day later, their grandma passes away. So these things are very real. It happens a lot. And that is your intuition. And these are basically what Tom Campbell says. This is valid data that you can use, and you can use it to your advantage, and it can serve you very well in your life. And we in this society in 2026, we are very intellectually based. We completely ignore our intuitive side. We go to school, we are told that we need to be really book smart. We have to know all these facts. We have to know all these numbers, all these dates, all this data, all these, labels and equations and all this information that you can read in a book, that you can write down. And we completely ignore our intuitive side. I mean, when in school are we ever sitting down and saying, all right, what are you feeling right now? We just completely ignore that part of our body, that part of our brain. But it is such a valuable tool in this reality. That can serve you so well if you can hone in on that, if you can tap into that power. And you might be asking, how do I tap into that? How do I use it? What is it? Well, I'll get into that because it's really interesting. So the question is, how do we tap into this power? How do we use this power to serve us in our daily lives? And that's a really valid question. Our intuition is like any other muscle, any other skill that we can develop. It takes practice. And one of the most simple ways to tap into that is just to start feeling into your body. Just find a quiet place, sit still for 20 minutes and just start feeling into your body. What emotions arise? What feelings do you feel in your arms, your legs, your back, your stomach, your throat? What emotions are there? What feelings are there? What thoughts are attached to those feelings? Try not to get caught up in the thoughts. Just notice the thoughts. just watch them pass by. And your body will start to communicate with you. And the more that you get in tune with your body, the more you get in tune with your emotional side, the better you will get at understanding what these feelings mean, what they are, and you can start to apply them in your life. I've had many instances in my life where I've used my intuition and it's been right. Just this past winter, when the NFL playoffs were going on, I have this tradition where I like to predict who will win every game of the playoffs. And this year I did it, and there were 13 postseason playoff games. And before every game, I would write down who I thought was going to win. And I correctly predicted 11 games of those 13 postseason games. So I predicted the winner of 11 of those games, and there were 13 of them. And you might say, oh, that's luck. You watch a lot of football, you watch a lot of stats. No, I sat down and I tapped into the energy of who was going to win each game. I really sat down and I just felt into the energy of each team. I felt into the energy of it's hard to explain. I just sat down and I just felt it. I just felt into, all right, who's going to win this game? And the answer just popped up in my brain, and I wrote it down, and I was right 11 of 13 times. And so I have seen it in my life. I have a strong intuitive side. I would say I'm probably more intellectually stronger than I am intuitively stronger, and I'm definitely trying to work on my intuitive side. So lately what I've been doing is I've just been really trying to almost shut off my brain. Like if I'm taking a walk outside, I'll just be feeling into my body. Like I will try not to think. I will just be feeling into my chest. I will be feeling into my emotions as I walk down the street, because I really want to work this intuitive side of my body. There have been lots of other times where I've been talking to people and I knew what they were going to say before they said it. And I could never explain it, but I just knew. And I would stop them mid-sentence and I would say, oh, you're about to say this. And they would say, yeah, how did you know? And so I know that this stuff is real. I've seen it myself, and I am not as intuitively strong as I would like to be. I think I have a lot of untapped intuitive energy in me that I've just never really allowed to express itself. But I really want to explore that more, because I think it is a very valuable tool that we can use in our lives. You can use your intuition to decide who you want to go into business with. Do I get a good vibe from this person? They might look great on paper, they might have a great track record, but how do I know this person is not going to screw me over in business? How do I know they're not going to stab me in the back and take all my money? I need to really feel into the energy of this person. What is my intuition telling me about this person? Or, who should I date? That's a big one. Somebody might look great on paper. They smile a lot and they're flirty and they dress up nice and they're very attractive. But how do you know that this is a good person? How do you know that this person is going to be a good candidate to date for the next months or even years? You use your intuition, you use your feelings. What is your gut telling you about this person that you're sitting across from right now? If you're trying to decide where you want to live, if you're sick of your hometown and you want to move somewhere, yeah, you can use all these facts and all this data and, South Carolina has these nice attributes to it, and Montana has this population and these numbers and the weather out there is like this. But that's all just, that's information that's very valuable, but there's also another side to it. What is your gut telling you about these locations? Do you get a good vibe from them? Is there something out there that you're maybe meant to see? And you can really play with that and then sit down and ask yourself, what am I feeling more? What is my gut telling me? Like what is the universe trying to tell me? Where is the universe trying to guide me? Should I go to South Carolina? Should I go to Montana? Should I date Sally? Should I date Sue? Which of these people is going to help me to grow? Which of these people is going to really nurture this side of me that I'm trying to express? And these are all really important questions, and our intellectual side just can't answer those questions. They don't have enough data for our intellect to answer that. If you're trying to decide if you're going to marry Sally or Sue, how are you going to use intellect to make that decision? Because you've never married either of them before. You don't have enough data to support a decision in that. It'd be one thing if you married Sally in this lifetime, and then in the next lifetime you came back and you're like, oh, last lifetime Sally wasn't really a great bride, so I'm going to marry Sue this time. But we just can't do that. We only have this life. We only have the past to reflect on. So intellect can really fall short in a lot of areas, and that's where our intuition comes into play. And we all have this intuitive side. Some people have just developed it a lot more than others. I mean, you hear stories all the time of people who got that gut feeling that their grandma was going to die. They were just sitting in their kitchen and they just got this feeling like, oh my God, my grandma's going to die soon. And sure enough, the next day, their grandma died. And it's just totally unexplainable. Or people who can communicate with other people without even opening their mouths. They have entire conversations with people using only their mind. You hear those stories of those autistic kids who can solve these ridiculous math problems in a second. How are they doing that? They're not crunching these numbers in their head. They're downloading this information, because with a lot of autistic kids, a lot of savants, their intellectual side doesn't really work like somebody who isn't a savant. So they have to rely completely on their intuitive side. And their intuition is incredibly strong. And so they can download these data streams from the universe. They can solve these complex math problems. They can remember dates from years ago. They have photographic memories. Some of the things these savants can do is incredible because they're using their intuition. People who can do astral projection and talk to the dead and travel to distant galaxies. I mean, this stuff sounds insane, but it is happening. And it's becoming more and more mainstream the more that humanity evolves. Because right now, we are just so in our minds. We are such a mind-based society, and we totally neglect our hearts. And the more that humanity progresses and we grow up, we're going to start moving more into our feelings. We're going to start moving more into our bodies. We're going to start becoming more connected to this mysterious energy that is flowing from the universe into our hearts, into our bodies, and that is intuition. And some of Tom Campbell's teachings, I think they really can't even be understood using your intellect, because they're so nuanced, they're so complex, there's so many paradoxes in what he says, and to understand it, you almost can't use your brain. You have to use your heart. You have to use your intuition. I mean, what is love? Can somebody explain love in a scientific way? I don't think so. I think love is just a feeling. You feel love when you look at a baby and it looks at you and it laughs and it smiles and it's just so pure and it is so good and it just exuberates love. It hasn't developed an identity yet. It hasn't developed an ego or a mind yet. It is just pure feeling. It is just pure love. And when a baby looks at you and your heart just melts because it's smiling and laughing and cooing at you, you know that your feelings are a legitimate thing. Your feelings are valid. Your feelings are powerful. These feelings that you get from the universe, these downloads, these gut feelings, they are all valid. And the more that we feel into them, the more we tap into them, the happier we're going to be as a society, because there are so many problems nowadays. War, violence, hatred, racism, these are all things stemming from the mind. These are all ego-based problems. When you drop the ego, when you drop your thoughts, when you drop your biases, and you fall into feelings, you fall into love, you fall into connection on an emotional level, these problems dissipate. They completely disappear. Even things like vengeance and hate, all these sins that we call them, they dissolve when you just step into a state of love, when you step into a state of feeling and emotions. And as humanity keeps growing up, when we, right now humanity is in kindergarten. We have so far to go. Like, we are still in our infancy when it comes to intelligence. Like, we think we have it all figured out. We have so far to go. Humanity has so much growing to do. The human has so much growth to do. But we are on the right track because people are becoming more and more aware every day. People are becoming more and more enlightened. The more we meditate, the more we have patience, the more we put ourselves in other people's shoes and try to see where that other person is coming from. Because at the end of the day, we're all doing our best. We're all trying to give and receive love. And a lot of us are doing it in really corrupt, awful ways. But ultimately, yes, we just want to feel love. We want to give love. And the more we purify ourselves, the more that we cleanse our bodies, the more that we drop our egos, get out of our minds, and step into our feelings, step into our bodies, the better we're going to be. Because there are so many constructs that we've created in this society around status and, oh, I'm better than you because I have more money than you, and I'm better than you because I'm a brain surgeon and you're a janitor. These are all just egoic mind labels that we are creating. No human is better than any other human. We are all valuable. We are all unique. We all bring so much to the table. We all have interesting perspectives. And when we just get out of our minds and we step into our hearts, we can be so much more loving. We can be so much more understanding, so much more inclusive, and the world can be such a better place. And so that's what I'm trying to do. Sitting out here in the woods, I'm just trying to get into my body. I'm trying to get out of my mind and start feeling into my intuition. And it's an interesting process. And I'm learning a lot about myself. I'm learning a lot about my shadow. I'm learning a lot about limiting beliefs I have and why I do certain things. And it's a difficult process. Sure, it can be hard at times, but it's very rewarding because I know I'm moving in the right direction. And I encourage you to do the same thing. I think anyone can see a lot of benefit when they tap into their feelings, when they tap into their emotions, and really take a step back and realize that they are not their mind. They are the observer of their mind, and our feelings are a great guide to bring us closer and closer to the truth.